Greetings. This is Scholar Saunders seeing what's current. We talk about black on black crime. What's really real is white on white hate. But then we have, hip hop, rap. I guess you can call it beef. Is it really beef? They don't even have diss records together. Who am I talking about? Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi just recently dropped his new album, INSANO. Lupe Fiasco, hasn't, said anything about it, but he has been vocal in the past about Kid Cudi's placement in hip hop and where their stress, tension, and or drama stems. It starts from way back, years ago when Kid Cudi said, that he was, working at the BAPE store in New York City, and Kid Cudi had come in, and then one of his coworkers let him know that he was on the floor. And then he was like, "No, I got to stay back here because there's gonna be one day when he's gonna say like, oh, I sunned you. You sold me pants one day, So Kid Cudi was like that, and then like Lupe Fiasco caught wind of this, was like, what? That's weird. Okay, so another episode was Lupe Fiasco was giving out was giving out opportunities for his supporters to have a verse for $500. This is just a verse for just a one-off $500. No copies. Don't leak it on the internet. Don't post it on any social media sites. It's just for you. And Kid Cudi took that to heart, and he was like, "Why are you doing that? What is that for charity? Is that for anything? Well, why are you? Is this just like a money grab? What is this?" Like, I know I'm paraphrasing, but then Lupe launched his own missile at Kid Cudi, saying, "Okay, you just did a deal with Giuseppe. What are you gonna do with the money that you make from those sneakers?" So it's like, okay, now it's on. And they've been going back and forth over Twitter. Well, back then it was Twitter, the social network formerly known as Twitter, X. They're going still going back and forth. So I just wanted to know why this is even so much of an issue. Why is this so big? This is pretty big. It was on the major sites. It was at the top of the page for the major sites that I track, and I watch videos and take notes of many of the different ideas that are discussed. And I just have to say, Lupe goes in. Lupe called Kid Cudi a BAB. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying not to use different language. But he is berating him. He's calling him all these names. There was a time when Kid Cudi was in the rehabilitation facilities, and I think he was saying some things, either directly at Lupe Fiasco when he got out, or during the time he may have had a moment where he was able to use his phone. And obviously Lupe Fiasco didn't take that too lightly. He didn't take that as a generous expression. And so he got back at him, and it was like, rehabilitation is for you to get better, to get control of yourself. I'm paraphrasing. It's not to go at people. So this has been going on for over a decade, or almost a decade, going way back to 2014, and in the middle of 2014. Or middle to towards the end of 2014, and and later on, a few years later, I think it was 2016 or 2017, he was on Sway's show, and he said he really went to Kid Cudi up. Lupe Fiasco said that he wants to beat him up, like literally physically do him damage and harm him and injure him in some way. That's the the weird part about all of this is that he wants to do all these drastic actions, and cause people to not be able to get the story correct, I guess. And like I said, No diss records yet. No beef on tracks. None of that. Just straight hate. Just it's not to the level. It's nowhere to the level of the Ja Rule 50 Cent beef, but it has flavors of that. It has a whiff of that because it's not like necessarily like they necessarily were buddies or best friends in the beginning. They were cool. Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi were cool. They had respect for each other. They said, Lupe Fiasco said, Kid Cudi had his albums, and um, Kid Cudi said about Lupe Fiasco, he had great tracks. He respected his grind. He respected his hustle. So it's just goofy to me. It's just weird and just that industry bull. You know what? It's just goofy. The whole thing. Just throughout the entire time, throughout the entire stretch of this discontent, the winter of our discontent. Um, they've not been able to reach any kind of agreement, any kind of peace accord, any kind of deal. But they may have music in the future. That's what's so weird about the game itself. So people get beef and they lose beef. They get beef, they lose beef. Look at Drake and Kanye, or the artist formerly known as Kanye or Kanye West. Yay! Look at that. They started off cool. Ye directed a terrible, horrible video, except for the chicks in it. It was a terrible video, and he produced a song, one of the worst songs on the album that kind of dragged it down. Find Your Love. So Kanye produced that, so they were cool on that level. Then they got to a point where they were not cool. They were not in a good state, and then they were in a good state, and then they're not in a good state. I don't know where they are right now, but they were going back and forth on the idea of saying who they were and what they were, and not conforming to any kind of friendship or any kind of mutual agreement between each other, one another. So we go back to Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco. I'm gonna take a few here are a few tweets on X. It's so weird to say that. And what do you call? Are they still tweets? Are they X's? Here's a few X's on X. When you're a billionaire, you can buy a goddamn site and name it whatever the hell you want, and you can be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna change up the scheme, the name. I'm gonna make people have to say, oh, I meant to say X instead of Twitter, but people are really saying just Twitter. I'm trying to say X just to keep it on point with the consistency. But here it goes. Lupe Fiasco. Kid Cudi is a B and continues to be a B. Ain't nobody finna bring up he used to work at the BAPE store to diss his BA for having a regular job before he was a famous B with a cool job. So that was Lupe Fiasco today. Okay, so that's how far ranging this tweef / ex-weef. I can't. It used to be Twitter beef. You used to be a portmanteau, and it used to be tweef, and that was fun. Everything was fun until you get Elon Musk in the mix and mucks it up everything. So everything's goofy. So no, it's a strange land. It's a strange world. Lupe Fiasco, hates Kid Cudi's guts, and it's a little ironic because Lupe. I don't know if he accepts the title, but he definitely runs along the lines of being a conscious rapper, formerly known as Mos Def. Yasin Bey, who had beef against or drama against, what was it, Drake, just a few days ago. So it's very strange. The whole industry is all goofy. It's a very goofy situation. So I happen to like. I have to favor Lupe Fiasco's art over Kid Cudi's art. I think Lupe Fiasco's the single, not the single, but the track, the one track, the cool is phenomenal. It's one of the greatest stories ever, spouted in hip hop ever. I love that track. Then he has a whole album called The Cool, and that is an excellent concept album, if may be able to say that. And he has other albums as well, that bang, that have meat to them. He went the route of the big corporations, and he said he never cared about the singles, but he said, in an interview with Hot 97, he said that I've sold millions of records, and that's facts. He had songs like The Show Goes On and Superstar and I Can't Get You Out of My Head, if that's the right way to say in the song. But with Trey Songz, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Trey Songz, Lupe. Yeah, Out of My Head. Yeah. So that was the interesting part about that. That's what I think is very strong and powerful for him. But Kid Cudi, he's got my favorite song from Kid Cudi of all time is Pursuit of Happiness. I think that's one of the finest songs ever recorded for hip hop as well. It goes up there, as one of the best ever. And it shows that, he had his own, tension and or stress with Drake, but they were buddies in the video. See, that's the thing. You can't take these videos and these songs seriously, because some of them are are actually serious, and then some of them they're just playing, going back and forth. They're not talking that greasy mess to say it. That's part of the game. That's part of this weird world of hip hop. That's why hip hop is not a culture. That is exactly the reason why. These are examples of why hip hop is not a culture. Because there will be guidelines, there'll be rules, there'll be a council, there'll be all kinds of different stipulations saying this can't go down, this has to be this way, this has to be that way. I'm not talking about controls and regulations, but I'm talking about just a council. That's all I'm saying. Just a body, of elders or even youngsters that get together and formulate ideas regarding the state of hip hop and what is mentioned and what is what people gravitate towards in that reality. I think that would be very beneficial to an art form that is allegedly 50 years plus. It could be maybe 70 or 80 years plus, because of bebop. Bebop could have been, the hip hop of that day. And not just because its name rhymes, but, it had different aesthetic values that match, what it is. So it just goes to show you how, two talented young men of color, they have to be men of color, are relegated to being in tension, stress, and or drama. That is the sad part. That is the really sad part about the whole entire industry. Because you know what, you got fat cats sitting back just counting their money. Let the little niggers talk about what they want. Let the little niggers talk all they want. I don't really care. I get paid at the end of the day anyway. Black and white, red and yellow, brown, it doesn't matter. They're still going to get paid. No matter what, these rappers, don't like about each other, if they don't have love or respect for one another, it doesn't even matter, because there's dozens of people, maybe hundreds, if not thousands, maybe millions of people that are still benefiting off of this genre of music. They're still benefiting off the fact that these mainly young men of color are, expressing themselves in a way that, people that are outside of the genre, may not understand or may not, really get. But people that within it, that are making the money, that are making the millions and billions of dollars off of it, as they should. I'm not saying, going against the business, but they should be getting money from it. But I'm just saying that this doesn't even phase them. This isn't anything that even is a problem to them. Lupe Fiasco called him a B. Kid Cudi, oh my God, he's going to, he's talking all this stuff about him too. Did I still get my check for $250,000? Of course. Off of them, off of their labor, off of their work, of course. That's the thing. That's what's so sad about this whole situation. It's the blues. That is the greatest expression of music besides classical music ever created, ever originated in all time. The blues. The blues goes back to the late 19th century, early 20th century. But really, the blues started with the Greeks, with the dramatists, the different playwrights, Sophocles, and so many others. And that's where it all started. And the blues just put a 12-bar structure to it. Like this is like August Wilson said in his play, he put it into Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Ma Rainey said, philosophy, no, she didn't say philosophy, but she was talking about philosophy. She said, blues isn't just about making you feel good. It's about understanding life. And that's what this is all about. All this, from the blues to jazz to rock and roll to hip hop to R&B to soul to all these different forms of music, it's all blues. Everything, every bit of it, it's all the blues. It's just in a different form. It's in a different key. It's in a different sound. It's in a different note between a note. That's all it is. It's all the blues. It's all blues. You can. And I'm quoting this from what is it? A Huey P. Newton story. He said it's all blues. British rock bands. Where the hell they get it? This is facts. This is not. I'm not just making this up. This isn't a goddamn lie. This is real. British bands were listening to the blues, while Americans were like, "I'm not listening to that nigger music. What I'm listening to that for? What am I gonna listen to that?" But British bands, they caught wind of it because they were traveling and they heard it in America. And they're like, "What is that? I like that tune. Okay, I can get on that. I can get a guitar on that. All right, I like the 12-bar structure. I can feel that. I can deal with that." And so they had the upper hand. The British invasion was a result of these musicians, these artists, taking in the ideas of black bluesmen and women and making it their own. And so they transformed it. And there were two British waves, one in the 60s and one in the late 70s and early 80s and mid 80s, the new wave. So that's a fact. You can look that up. Look that up. That's reality. And that's what people don't understand. When you have people like Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi, and they're talking about, Kid Cudi talking about, Lupe Fiasco talking about, I want to beat him up, I want to F him up and stuff like that. It's just a shame, really. It's a sad thing, but it's just what it is. You have to see it for what it is. Two talented artists going back and forth at each other over, being, in positions that millions, if not billions, of people would wish and hope and try to be in, having fame and fortune and all these things that come with it, but they're not happy. They're not, content. That just goes to show you the nature of the game. That's the nature of hip hop. It's the nature of the blues. It's the nature of rock, soul, R&B, country. Don't forget country. Black people had a major influence on country. Where the hell do you think the banjo came from? West Africa. West Africans came up with the banjo, or North Africa, either North Africa or West Africa. They came up with the banjo. And what is mostly used in country music? The banjo, traditionally. So it just goes to show you how it's a possibility for these young men to have a very just a disparity between each other, and that's just what it is. It may be, sad on some notes, but maybe this could fuel his Kid Cudi's just dropped the album, like I said, INSANO, and this could fuel more album sales. This could be more streams to his page, to his various accounts. This could drum up business, as they say. And that's what all this is. This is the business of music. Don't get it confused. This is all about making money at the end of the day, to use a cliche. I didn't mean to rhyme. That's all I had to say. But really, no, it's about money. It's always been about money. And the thing is, it's art, because art has to be great. In order to get the money, you have to make great art. It's a two-way street. You got to get the money, but in order to get the money, you got to have great art. And after great art, you get the money. That's the power of being in position, like Drake. Drake is in a position where he can make any album almost. It'll go number one. It'll be streaming, and everybody streams it and downloads it, and it's shared all over the place. And it's amazing. Whoever just came in, make sure you drop a like. I got 1 like. I need 2 likes. Whoever you are, make sure you tell 2 or 3 people about me. You already know how that goes. Don't tell 4 people about me. Just leave it to themselves to wonder who I am. But yeah. So Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi have just opened up a new rift in the game. Again, it's over almost a decade old, but it still burns. The fire still burns. Fire burn. It's still very active. It's like a dormant volcano, and I guess when it stops being dormant, I mean, it's still got a lot of action going on inside, but it's not spewing forth magma and lava and different things like that, and ash and things like that. Baja Jackson, my man. Definitely salute to you, sir. Salute. You're not a newbie. If you were a newbie, I would have said, "Where's my donation?" But you're good. You if you want to send a donation, that's your prerogative. If not, that's cool too. Because you sent plenty of money from my way. Appreciate that, sir. But make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like button. That's all I ask. Make sure you hit that like. Thank you. Appreciate it. Salute. But it's just all goofy all around, weird tension, stress, and or drama. I'm not gonna call it beef. Beef is 50 Cent and Ja Rule. That's real beef. That's like not even nobody plays around with kind of beef, which was goofy at the beginning because it was like somebody got stabbed up and they didn't, follow protocol or something happened, something went left, and 50 saw Ja Rule and Ja Rule just kept on moving or something crazy was like that, and it just turned into a whole cluster, what? And it just was a mess. So this is not that. This is not beef. This is stress, tension, and or drama. That's what this is. This is just You know, two guys that are very talented. They have similar but not the same kind of, you know, background, same kind of aesthetic. Um, they say, you know, I'll repeat it again. You know, Lupe is more of like a conscious rapper, and Kid Cudi's like a forerunner to the emo rap. You know, they're both very influential. They're very influential in terms of, you know, the different rappers. Like Lupe Fiasco probably influenced, you know, Kendrick Lamar in a lot of ways, and Kid Cudi is just who else? I mean, goddamn Lil Uzi Vert, and I can't even name how many more people. I mean, Lil Wayne's flow, the way he changed his flow. The late great XXX Tentacion. It's just a whole list of other rappers that both of these men have influenced. They've had great catalogs. They have great catalogs. It's excellent. They have at least 5 albums apiece. I think Kid Cudi has 9 albums. I did not know that. He has The Chosen. He's got like Man on the Moon 3. His latest one is Insano. He's got a catalog. He's got some strong songs. Didn't mean to rhyme right there either. But he has some, you know, some bangers, some heat. And he should be proud of that. The greatest part about being in the positions that they are in is that they can be angry. They have, you know, everybody thinks it's love, luck, and lollipops. You know, you look at you know, the entertainment field, you know, music and movies and or anything like that, and plays or any whatever the case may be. You think it's all gravy. Everything is all good. I got money. I got fame. I'm all good. Everything's happy. I can skip along and sing zippity doo dah now, but it's just not like that. There's always going to be stress, tension, and or drama involved, no matter where you are, what you are in human life, in human, you know, interactions. There's always going to be that tension because of the will to survive. It's not permanent. There's no such thing as really a will to survive. It's a choice. It's based on reason. It's based on facts. It's based on truth. That's what it is. And that's what, you know, I think is what's happening with Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi. Like, Lupe Fiasco hates Kid Cudi. Like, there's no kidding. There's no kidding in that. He literally wants to beat him to death. Not to death, excuse me. Pause. Slow down. He wants to beat him up. I don't want to say to death, but I mean, it's that feeling, it's that emotion. I mean, if he goes so far, you know, a few hits to the ribs and, you know, a clean clock to the temple, and he could kill him. But I don't think he meant that. He didn't. He never said he wants to beat him to death. That was my error. He said he wanted to beat him up, though. He did say that. He definitely said that. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that ever happen. I mean, I don't think that has to happen. That's just something that, you know, the two of them can hash out. They can figure that out on their own. They can distinguish that. They don't have to be like disgusting in their way. They can be like two gentlemen that are able to settle their differences like rational men. That's the key. But if not, hey, that's part of the business too. I can't. I'm not gonna stand in their way. They can beef for 20 years, 30 years, or beef. Like I said, they have tension or stress or drama for 30 years. And then one day when they're sitting in the hip hop retirement home and they're rocking in their chairs and they're going back, yeah, boy, we sure do have history. Yeah, when you said I was a BAB, yeah, that was funny. That was wild. Yeah, I know. Yeah, when I was talking about how, you know, what are you gonna do with the $500? Yeah, I guess I was out of line. But that's the way it goes for that. And Lupe Fiasco and Kid Cudi, that's the way it is for them. All right, I'm going to do something special today. I'm going to do some stories. I'm going to see how you guys like these stories. They're from vocal.media. You can check them out. I'm going to put down the site in which you can find them. In the live chat. So we're all on the same page. Let me see. I'm looking up the right one. All right, so be prepared. Here we go. You can click on this and read along, or send it to somebody and tell them to send it to somebody. All right, here we go. Law school murders, entire philosophy. Kim settles into her role as law professor. Who asked questions for me? Yes, professor. What was it like to be embroiled in 2 murder cases and get off scot-free? I think it was a realization. I realized that I am not above the law just because I had a badge or was trained to be an FBI agent. I knew there had to be a way for me to see the difference between being a law enforcement officer and the one accused. I had to come to the conclusion that I was going to have to face justice. Because of the facts of reality, I was able to be cleared of both crimes because they had nothing to do with me. A blonde woman, 22, stood up to ask a question. Hi, Professor Jurgensen. What was the case in the QR code murders that made you think that you had cracked it? We had an informant. He had mashed up 2 codes and we just went, not on a hunch, but with rational understanding that we could link on all the murders back to one person and then another. If you want to discover what you want, you have to survey the landscape and bring to light what other people choose to disguise. With the code cases, we knew that someone was doing all this to undercut and undermine the youth in Wilmington. People blamed the music they were making when it was envy that had caused the homicides. At root is emotionalism and a disgust for the good. Watch out for that. Another hand raised. Blue-black woman, 21. Is there any validity that you talk with the CEO who killed Susan Bakerton? That is true. I spoke with him almost every day. That's how I knew the case would explode wide open with the testimony. I knew that Goro was engaged in an affair with Susan. He dropped subtle hints and then go back over his story and laugh. There was cause for him to be able to appreciate the fact that he was getting away with for so long. When she finally accused him of impropriety, he knew he was already going down a dark path. Because we had exchanged pleasantries, he thought he could move in on me. I protested and reminded him that I could render him unable to procreate. That's when things got dicey. He reported me to the warden and said I had forced himself on him before he locked me up. Such was never the case. I let it be known he was the predator, but they didn't see it that way. So, a court case and it was a murder. Once more. A young man, olive skin, green eyes, 22, raised his hand. How did you deal with your celebrity status? Do you still get hounded? It's not as much anymore. In the state of Delaware, there aren't a lot of media outlets, but I didn't mind because I was in the right. I knew the evidence against me, but I still treated the case as if it wasn't in the spotlight. There were TV specials and book deals, but after all the news vans and reporters left, they evaporated as well. A few podcasts here and there contributed to the story and mostly defended me. Another question came to the floor. There seemed to be a clarity in her voice. She was light-skinned with short hair, 20. Who did you depend upon to fight this case, besides your lawyer, of course? I have a dear friend who looked out for her wisdom. She's nearly half my age, but introduced me to an entire philosophy that propelled me to continue in a way that would suit my life and sustain it. We have a rapport that can never be broken. We know it, and we know each other. Hope you liked that. I liked it. Didn't pick up much steam in that way. That's fine, too. I'm going to read another one. That's right. God damn it. I'm going to read another one. Let's see here. going to try to get all of them into the live chat so you can read them at your leisure. All right, so here we go. Law school murders, tie-dye. Kim prepares to teach. In a move that screamed Kim Jurgensen, nay Copley, she studied nights and Saturdays to earn her master's degree in law. Every ounce of knowledge that she had racked up, all the experience in the field prepared her for this glorious moment as a professor at Delaware Institute of Technology, DIT. When she first started, she felt pangs of wanting to be in the streets and feel the hum of the traffic. She yearned for the glow of a street light passing under her car. In a sense, she was still reliving a lot of that action with the stories and examples she had to outline as part of her curriculum. The power of her intellect and the notion that she had brought about an inkling of what it meant to be a cop and also as close as you can get to becoming a federal agent without being an actual agent. Kim walked around her lecture hall a half hour before she would open up for class. She wanted to see the students who would arrive 15 minutes prior. That refrain was embedded in her psyche all the way from boot camp. She knew that if she was going to be somewhere, she couldn't just be on time. The 15 minutes prior rule came into effect with her ability to decipher what was important and what wasn't. This was important. It was the most money she had ever seen in her career. She had no student loans, so she could enjoy the cost of living in a tidy walk-up in Newark. She enjoyed the relaxed living conditions and never troubled herself with the idea she wasn't living in the city. Her thoughts went to three places: Captain Framingham, him, and Yaukesha. They swirled in her consciousness like paints on a spinning board. The tie-dye effect came out with the most color representing Yaukesha. The young woman had reminded Kim that she still qualified for the FBI because she had not been convicted. Still, Kim felt in her spirit that she should be teaching law, not enforcing it. Yaukesha respected that. The railings, brown and broken in some places, still felt smooth to the touch. She smelled the wooden chairs and remembered how uncomfortable they were. They're probably designed like that to keep the pupils awake. About 22 minutes remained. There was a broken desk attached to the chair. Kim inspected it and grabbed her toolkit under her desk. Why did she have a toolkit? She felt she had to be prepared at all times. She had kept it in her Humvee, patrol car, and squad car. She sprayed some the whole time. She was thinking not that she came out of 2 homicide trials as free as air, but that she knew that she could fix anything. In her mind, she was herself, not as lucky, but unfortunate. She never told lies. Even in the most precarious situations, she didn't fib or tell whoppers. Never in her life, actually. She would put the George Washington cherry tree myth to shame. Just by pointing out it was a symbol, not fact, would be where she would have started. 17 minutes remained until the busy bees swarmed her domain. After all the welcomes and salutations and the Q&A from yesterday, she was ready to discuss the homicide rates of Delaware, namely Wilmington. A sense of power surged through her frame. The sensation empowered her and lent a positive, powerful notion to her day. She felt poised to make not just the most of it, but to make it right. She wanted to make it possible for her to study to show herself approved. She wanted to be that heat-seeking missile who could penetrate and explode a mind. As the clock neared 15 minutes, she walked past the desk and moved it. No sound, not a squeak. Then it fell to the floor. She thought she'd tighten it, but it just gave way. She shrugged and went to her toolkit and used the screwdriver once more, this time tightening it. About a minute remained. The digital bell pealed. Class started. Do you like that? Two other people besides myself like that one. Come on, y'all gotta say y'all like that one. Has some kind of recognition. Okay, here we go. All right. Still looking for it. Once again, putting it in the live chat. Law school murders. The walk. One of Kim's students has a problem. So that was the first victim in the spree that ultimately claimed the lives of 14 victims, Kim taught. She heard a snicker. You, Tavell, what's so funny about a serial killer who goes on a rampage in the first date? I mean, it's obvious. He had a plan to only kill black women. He was rejected as a white man too many times and decided to take his frustrations out on these victims. He was tall and with light brown skin and green and gray eyes. Good observation, but not great, Kim said. A few giggles erupted from the lecture hall. Earl Kremer had been raped and abused by his mother and father and became sexually active at the age of 8 with his 12-year-old sister. He abused animals. He tied them to stakes and bashed them until they died. If you had dug a bit deep, Mr. Tavell, you would have mentioned that. Tavell rolled his eyes and scoffed. Now back to the criminal investigation. After class, Kim asked Tavell to talk with him. You're a good writer. Why did you act like that in class? I would have expected more research on your part. How you could have used a chat generator. Maybe even a chat room. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm not as present as I should be. I mean, I'm here, but I'm not here. Tell me what's going on, Kim leaned in. It's nothing. Really? Look, it's these guys at the house. We were drinking, doing a game. I drank too much and then passed out. I don't know what happened, but my mouth was really sore. Did you go to your RA, a doctor? No and no. I suggest you cut back on the drinking, study up, and get yourself checked out. You may have been violated. Thank you, Professor Jurgensen. He walked out of the hall. Kim sat back in her chair and glared out of the window. She then took to her desk and looked at the files of murderers, rapists, and thieves. At the same time, Tavell's story haunted her. It made her feel queasy and uneasy. Her mind drove her to study more pictures and court cases, but she also had Tavell's story tugging at her. She removed herself from her seat and called the campus physician. Yes, one of my students appears to have been assaulted in some way. Tavell Comer. He resides at the house of Alpha Rho Zeta. Thank you, doctor. Be well, she said. Her hand rested on her chin. She got up and went to her car. Once she reached her bedroom, she showered and changed into house clothes. Tavell journeyed to the gun store. He brought it to his room. Hey, Ty, what's the expiration? Gunfire. The commotion spurred the other brothers to see what had happened. Tavell shot 3 more times, punishing his housemates. 3 lay in a puddle of blood. Tavell stashed the gun in between his pillow. The barrel seared the cotton. Tavell looked prepared for whatever was coming to him. He looked at him and grabbed his keys. He stepped over the pile of dead bodies and sojourned out of the fraternity house. He just walked. He saw the dying of the sun, and it made him feel cocky. And he just did. Sure, they'll find the bodies and the gun and trace it all back to him, but he also had a friend who just got out of jail for doing a 6-year bid for aggravated assault. He could paint a picture of the friend squeezing the trigger and saying he was on the walk. Hope you're liking these. It came from up here. Appreciate any support. All right, so we have this one. I'm going to try to tidy up something really quick, though. Just give me a moment. Give me a few moments. I want to try to talk you through this. It goes like this. They have a quick edit function. You go to the part where, you're supposed to have corrected something. And then you correct it. And then you save and publish it. And then you're all good to go. It's the beauty of this site. And I can still get paid. I love the principle of this site. I love the principle of YouTube. I could be a billionaire by now, but I don't have the quality. The quality isn't high enough. The amount of people knowing about the quality isn't high enough. And there was a content warning for that special that episode, The Walk. Content warning. This story may contain sensitive material or discuss topics that some readers may find distressing. Reader discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in the story are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of vocal. So I said that afterwards, but I meant to say it ahead of time. Let me see. On to the next. On to the next. On to the next. I got one other person that likes this story. Law school murders, adjunct. The court summons Kim. Kim paced with her fingers extended and together, almost like she was stalking and praying at the same time. When she entered the vehicle of what would have been his eighth victim, Clowna Winchester shoved him out of the car and sped off. He later went home and dialed the phone to claim him for his misdeeds. The students looked at each other. They knew that there were about 4 different elephants in the room. Kim picked up on the atmosphere. She could feel it. She sighed. All right, I thought I could just launch right into the prepared class. Obviously, current events have given way to a lot of unease and misunderstanding. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions concerning the case. A woman, blondish with an angular face and gray-green eyes, stood up. Professor Jurgensen, will you be investigating these cases? No. A boy with a strong jaw and ebullient brown eyes rose. With the murders of the fraternity brothers, would that constitute fratricide? It was a low joke, an ugly, nasty thing that is common nowadays. Out of respect for the deceased, let's refrain from tossing out little comments to get a vile chuckle. You may have a seat, young man. Another man, brown skin and with a shaved head and braids on the top, queried. With all of your experience in this field, what is the most difficult aspect of cases like these? I'd have to say meeting with the families. Once you see the look of anguish and despair in their eyes, you know why this profession and the legal system must function efficiently. You have no room to be unprofessional or seek fame from such situations. A moment passed. It was like a long snap in the universe, and then the moment returned with a question. Another young man, high-top fade and a clean-shaven face. Ma'am, I got out of the Marine Corps as a first lieutenant. I want to know, did you always see yourself dealing with the law or in law enforcement? After my retirement, I considered many avenues. I could be making $250,000 a year as a contractor. That's decent money with bonuses and more to go along with it. But I chose to be a cop because I relished the idea of protecting my city. After that, as you know, I didn't have the opportunity to continue with my work. So I went back to school, and now I'm here. The class still seemed nervous and uneasy and about recent events. A young woman stood. She had braids and skin the color of cocoa butter. Professor Jurgensen, it is my understanding that you may be called as a witness in the fraternity brother slayings. What do you have to say to people who take the stand? The truth. Make it ironclad. Know who you're talking about and discover for yourself the reality of the situation. If you don't know, just remember the truth isn't the easiest thing to remember. It is the only path of morality in situations like that. The end of the session came with the peal of the electronic bell. As the students filed out of the classroom, they each passed by Kim's desk, said thank you. Kim's desk and said thank you. Even the boy who cracked the joke apologized and said thank you. At the mouth of the hall, 2 detectives entered the space. What is it, gents? Kim asked, an equal measure of nonchalance and straightforwardness. You've been called to testify on the case regarding Brandon Fletcher. You'll be deposed on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Kim canceled her class and allowed the adjunct professor to fill in for her. Hope you liked it. Make sure you give me that feedback. Need that feedback. And now I'm going to take a break and do some of my sponsors. First off, check out Peng's products from Livestrong Company Apparel. And that's livestrongapparel.com. LIFESTRONGAPPAREL.com. You'll get all kinds of seagrass, gummies, plenty of stuff that I said he should be sending me That's it. I want to try out to test on air. I'll test his products on air and see if I like them. That'd be the best way to show it. Sure, I will, but I still haven't tested him. I can only vouch for the website. He has a great website. Subscribe to B Jackson. He just tapped in. Baja Jackson. That's BEEJACKSON 5478. He's drinking beers, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. He's frying up chicken. He's grilling sardines. It's a very entertaining site. Also entertaining is Spirit Smooth Tunes. SPIRITSMOOTHUNES on YouTube. And you get to hear, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Zap, the Ohio Players, Peebo Bryson, and a host of others. And so make sure you definitely tap into his site on YouTube. It's Spirit Smooth Tunes on YouTube. Also, check out twitch.tv/.focus. That's DOTFOCUS_ just one underscore, not a full, 3 or 4, but just one underscore. And of course, if you want to have sponsorship, you want me to advertise your product or your service, you can hit me up at Skylar Saunders, SKYLERSAUNDERS @gmail.com. Or you can join my 100 Club by contributing $100 or more in a month to the broadcast. So I appreciate that. Anyone who does that, I definitely appreciate it. We have Spirit, Spirit Smooth Tunes, Spirit McCrory. He has about $71 to go. Height has $50 to go. So they're closing in. They're closing in. And of course, you can have my PayPal information, paypal.me/Skylar Saunders, SKYLERSAUNDERS, Vin, and Cash App, $SKYLERSAUNDERS 1. And so far tonight, I've raised $0. I know of. Maybe there's some, it's hiding. But I need $160 to go to meet my goal. So I want to get that. It's probably going to be my last story. See how that goes. I'm trying to make this as convenient as possible. And let me see if I get the word right. I have the word in my head, but I don't know if it's right. Yes, convivial, enjoyable. Hope it's very convivial. I was right. Hope it's enjoyable and able to you're able to enjoy it. Okay, so I like this. No one else doesn't like it. It likes it. Okay. Law school murders, throngs. Be careful with that. Okay. The students grieve their fallen classmate. 1,000 candles burned around. Heads bent in solemnity and tears flowed. The candlelight vigil provided a time for the students and staff to grieve, to mourn, to reflect. Each of the students wore white hoodies in honor of the slain fraternity brothers who were notorious for wearing such garb. It gave them a sense of solidarity and camaraderie. Kim walked to the back of the crowd. She felt this thing that she was somehow a pariah. She was the last person to speak to the murderer. With folded arms, she strode with the grace of a gazelle. A speaker with a wireless mic stood on stage with a pristine signature hoodie. She was tallish and blondish. She was a junior at the school and was once girlfriend to Swank Groves. Her name was Rhea Bicker. I don't know why we have our lost lost family, friends, and caring and congenial classmates. I know there's no God above nor a fancy land called heaven, but they would have deserved the myth. They carried themselves like pupil meowmen, working smart and trading with others and sincerely. For my swanky, nervous laughs went up. Then Rhea began to sob. Her friend Sarah Gasteyer hugged her. The crowd cheered and whooped in support. "We love you, Rhea," one woman shouted. A few more began to chant, "Rhea, Rhea, Rhea." Sarah broke her embrace. "I'm so sorry," she sniffled a bit. Cough cleared her throat. She chuckled slightly. "Thank you for that. I'm processing everything. There's a way to do things. If we are to do things, we must get rid of all guns." Applause rose up to the night sky in merely deafening fashion. They think there's going to be no consequence for the deaths of these great young men. Then the gunmakers are better abandon their arms. More applause and shouts of approval. "We're going to fight to destroy all guns in this country and branch out to the globe." Kim almost stalked the young college kids. She went up to them and listened to their stories. As she went about shaking hands and smiling warmly at the anecdotes, Kim felt something nagging at her soul. It was just a slight tug, but it began to throb even more as she passed through the crowd. "I've known him since kindergarten. It's crazy that Delaware has set it up like that. We almost took every class together. They sensed they could lead the three well-trained women. We're going to have resort to the most profound ways of catching them," Kim asserted. Among the throngs of people, she felt that she could take the entirety into her palm and assuage their pain. The somber evening seemed to be the event of the decade for these students. So deep, the gathering appeared to be a chance not for Kim to shine, but to envelop herself in her students' profound grief. Once she had taken the evening in, she departed for her car, where a few paparazzi trailed her and just waited inside her vehicle. At her home, she listened to public radio and prepared linguine. She poured some wine and texted him, "Hey, I saw you on TV. It was a brief clip, but it was definitely you. How comforting. I didn't mean, no, it's okay. It's like a virus. It'll always be a part of my life, no matter how many prescribed drugs I take. I'm sorry. Don't be." There was a moment when the typing symbol started again. "Anyway, I'm sorry that you had to experience it, and if you have to continue it, yes, thanks." That was another one. I think that might bring us close to the time. I'm just going to chat up on the parts I messed up on, to be honest with you, to be frank. I have to make sure I clean up everything I have. It's far different. It's very interesting because I get a chance to revisit my stories. I usually just post them and let people, say, what's wrong with them. But this gives me an opportunity to really dive into which issues there were. All right. So that's that. I was going for the money grab. Sometimes it bites you in the ass, in the rear. It's what it is. It's what it is. I can't say that. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't trying to get this money. That's all I'm trying to do is get this money. Get this money. I got kids to feed. No, I don't have any kids to feed. I'm just going off the biggie line. But I appreciate the 2 likes and the 2 people that came in. Whoever you are, I know Baja Jackson was on here. So I appreciate him. Baja Jackson. I want to make sure I get your name right. But it's fun either way. This is my enjoyment. This is why I like doing this. I like the setup, the prep, and I hope you enjoy it too. So thank you very much. I will see you, if not tomorrow, Sunday. Thanks again. Take care.